right, it is 6:59, so we will get the January 8th Topsfield School Committee underway a minute early. We will start with introductions. To my right,
Steve Greenberg, Assistant Superintendent of Operations.
Scott Morrison, Superintendent.
Matt LaCavra, Assistant Superintendent of Student Services.
Courtney Dalen, Reporting Secretary.
Andrew Prazar, Topsfield School Committee.
Candace Snyder, Topsfield School Committee.
Emily King, Topsfield School Committee.
Melissa Gustin, Topsfield School Committee.
Carol Willa, Principal Steward.
Adrian Alford, Interim Principal, Proctor School.
And then Brendan, that's when you get to weigh in.
Brendan Gahagan, Topsfield School Committee.
As you may see,
I was going to go after Alyssa, but I got.
Yeah, Carol jumped the gun.
That's all right. That's all right.
I now have the visual of you, speaker.
So just so everybody knows, we'll have to do roll call votes just because Brendan's virtual.
Sorry, everybody.
It's all right. We'll only hold it against you for a week or two.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll try and keep the same pattern in order just
Yes,
for ease
yes,
of
yes.
whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. We probably won't have that many votes.
Yeah, I guess.
Any remarks from the public tonight? Seeing none, we go right to the report of the superintendent.
Thank you all. Happy New Year. Welcome back. I want to thank Courtney for being here. Courtney has done the minutes in Boxford for as long as I've been here in the Tri-Town, and Courtney also worked at Cole for a number of years in the special ed office as well. So we appreciate Courtney filling in for Colleen tonight. So thank you, Courtney. Just a couple of updates in the drive is the NEC annual report. We had the Crest annual report before the holidays, and NEC had finalized their annual report. It's going to look very similar from what you have seen in past years as you scroll through. This is always just in here as, I would say, an FYI more than anything else, but it's just some nice pictures of the kids and understanding of the program, the programs that are offered. It starts with a letter from Fran Rosenberg, who is the executive director, rolls into all of the member districts and the superintendents of those districts, and then it gives you the org chart, their mission and vision, their programs on page 8 of 24, the students served by member districts. You can see the bigger cities obviously have a larger population of students who attend. That's on the bottom of 8 of 24. Attend programs at NEC. You can see the overall demographics, and then it gets into a page-by-page program review starting with the Kevin O'Grady. And as you scroll all the way through, it'll take you through the upper academy, the lower academy, the recovery high school, their transition programs, and then their tuition and budget and some of those pieces at the end. So NEC continues to be a well-run and efficient organization. Fran does a good job there. It's a good board that serves with her. They're just trying to finish up an HVAC capital improvement plan. We've talked about that a little bit in the past. They're doing some finishing touches on that as it relates to commissioning and some of those other pieces. But just a nice report for all the committees of all of the districts that are served by the consortium to have a chance to review. So it's in there more as an FYI and for the committee to review. And certainly if there are specific questions after you have a chance to review it, I can answer to the best of my ability or get an answer for you from Fran if folks have any questions on any of that. The MSBA window project, that's just the sort of like standing agenda item, just so we keep saying it and keeping it in the atmosphere. So this is something that in 2027, and we'll talk further with our town partners about this. We've talked about this in previous meetings, about putting in a SOI, Statement of Interest, as it relates to participating in the MSBA program. We are due for a window project here at Proctor School, particularly the Georgian building, but certainly all the windows and some doors and things like that as we continue to concern about the envelope. We did the roof and did a good job in that there, but the more we can keep the envelope tight, the better served it'll be from an energy efficiency standpoint. So more to come, but I just kind of keep that on there just so more likely I don't forget. And it reminds me that, we need to make sure we talk to town partners. We have a year before that packet opens again from MSBA. And we will keep you tuned in on that. Just another facilities things, I'll come back to attendance in a minute. But the integrated pest management, we had a conversation at our last meeting around our integrated pest management plan and around SGARs. Andrew had brought that to the attention of Mr. Clifford and myself. And Steve did some background research on that, Steve Clifford, and sent Andrew an email. Good afternoon, Andrew. After discussion with our contractor that assists us with our integrated pest management plan on our desire to avoid the use of SGARs, I am pleased to share the attached document. Again, that was an email to Andrew, which confirms that SGARs have not been part of our toolbox for IPM and will not be in the future. Any questions, please let me know. So that was good news in that regard. We can kind of check that box. Going back to DESE staff attendance, this is a new data point that the Department of Ed is tracking across the state. They track, obviously, student attendance, and they are tracking staff attendance as well. And pleased to report to all three committees that our three towns has outstanding attendance from perspective of how we do locally, and then also how we measure up across the state. Across the state, the average is somewhere like 93 to 94%, and we are 97.4% in Topsfield for our staff attendance data in terms of people coming to work and being a part of what we do every single day. And we're very proud of our staff and the work that they do every day, and proud of our principals and our staff for creating a culture that it's a place where teachers and kids want to come and be a part of what we are doing. So that was good news there. And similar numbers in the other two towns as well, all in the high 90s, very well above the state average on that. Proctor School principal search, Brian included in the drive a memo that he had sent to me. And so that memo, just to kind of read it into the record, this was from Brian as the HR director to me. And as you know, Mr. Alford was appointed as the interim principal for the 25-26 school year. As is our process with an interim position, we will post and run a full search. The person in the interim position is welcome to apply as part of the process. So please find an outline of the search process for the permanent principal at Proctor. The dates are subject to change based upon people's schedules. So the position was posted internally and externally on January the 6th. Brian had sent out a letter to the Proctor community on January 6th seeking members to serve on the search committee and to participate in a survey to seek feedback on the qualities the community is looking for in the Proctor principal. January 20th, 2026 is the deadline for people to apply to be on the search committee. The search committee will be named on January 21st. They'll meet on January 29th to review the process, look at the survey data, and set the interview plan. The application deadline will be January 30th of 2026. The committee will review applications from February 2 through February 9. And then the break is somewhere in there, the February break, and panel interviews with candidates will occur on February 25th and 6th. Finalists will have one-to-one meetings with the senior leadership team during the week of March 2nd. Site visits will occur March 9th and March 16th, and the appointment will be announced during the week of March 30th. As Brian indicated, look forward to working on the search process over the next several months, and he will keep us informed of things as this process unfolds. So that process is kicking off and underway. And then our assistant superintendent of operations search, we are out on a second round for that. Many of you, or some of you, are on that committee in terms of the different pieces that are associated with that. So we went out in the fall for that position, as you may recall. And we had 3 finalists, and if you, to use sort of an analogy to a marathon, it's 26 miles, which is like what the process is to apply for a job when we go through something like that. We had one candidate sort of self-select drop out around mile 19. We had another candidate that I think it was sort of mutual in terms of the, dropping out of the process somewhere around, mile 8 or 9. And then we had a candidate around mile 1 or so, and getting close to the finish line. And the piece there was just looking at not having one candidate and making sure that we have a bevy of candidates to show to the school committee. And so with that, we decided to proceed with a new search. That candidate who was sort of a mile from the line was welcome to reapply, certainly. I don't know if they will or they will not, but we want to make sure that we have a healthy pool because that's the position that the school committee hires. And we will do a TTU meeting probably. I don't think we'll have to now schedule another one. We were supposed to have one next week, which was to do the interviews for the 3 finalists, or the 2 finalists, however many there were going to be left. And our next TTU meeting is March, so I think it probably will line up with that schedule. Brian is obviously going to be busy running the 2 searches simultaneously, but they're important positions, the both of them. And I think at our TTU meeting in March, that'll end up being interviews, hopefully, for finalist candidates. So we'll see how that unfolds. When you go out, it's always the different times of year, you get different candidates. When you go out early like we did, you get some candidates that may have been thinking about looking and so on and so forth. When you go out now, you might get people who are in budget season who are like, I think I want to look somewhere else to go work for a job. So you'll get a different crop of people as we navigate through that. So certainly keep you updated on that, but that is reposted, the same committee that's in place. I don't know if Brian's already reached out with some dates or anything yet, Andrew, but.
I forget. Well, I think he was just, the first round of emails was just ascertaining who wanted to remain
On the committee, okay. So that process is going as well, and
There may be
keep
dates.
you tuned in.
I think there are dates.
Are there? Yeah, he might have. But it'll be, I think, as we look at this search for the Proctor principal, I think it'll be a similar kind of timeline. And then us using that March 2 meeting to do those interviews, hopefully, would be the ultimate goal there, so. So that's the plan there. Mr. Greenberg keeps playing Baby Come Back, the song for me, every time I see him. So that's what greets me every morning.
Sounds like workplace harassment.
You're right. I think you're right. They file with HR. Exactly. So any questions on any of those items from the
Yes.
committee?
Question, guys?
No.
Oh, no.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, and so, yeah, I mean, just Scott brought it to the three chairs of the
Yep.
the Middleton, Boxford, and Topsfield committee about if we wanted to proceed with one candidate, and the three of us sort of said we'd rather have multiple people to bring to the TTU to choose from, so.
Which feels right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for that support.
So moving on to the report of the Assistant Superintendent of Operations. Baby, come back.
Who sings that?
Oh, come on, I got it.
No. Just wanted to know who sang it.
Listen, you're throwing grenades.
I'll look it up.
All right, good evening, including the drive of the, the very late report that I should have given you a month or two ago for the times and counts for the buses. As far as times and counts are concerned, nothing extraordinary to report. Service is a different animal, a different situation, or problem, I should say, but being brief, any questions the committee may have on times and counts?
So just to clarify for my thinking, the current proposed budget has us running one less bus than we run this year, or is it has all of them?
It has all of them.
Okay. So one thing we noticed because you showed us these numbers, the preliminary numbers last meeting, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I think the one thing we noticed that bus 24 is running well under capacity, and the other buses have room to take on students. And so one thing we can consider, or I think we should consider this year,
All right.
is eliminating a bus. Again, that's a conversation with Masco.
Yeah, so, okay, so finish that and I'll tell you.
Yeah, well, I just, so I mean, that will change service, because we'll have to redo bus routes, so that,
Yep.
that would be a major change. But I think we've had some conversations offline individually with each other where, when a bus capacity is 65 and the most any of these, like bus 25 is the most full at 40, there's efficiencies to be gained in terms of,
Understand.
and the hope I think would be that one less driver creates one less driver who can be absent, if that's true. It might actually improve, like the runs may be a little longer, the stops may be less frequent, but at least the consistency might be there.
Okay. No, I think that's a great thought process. Just so you know, I do stay in contact with Jeff Sands, the assistant superintendent, and Masconomet, to let him know when we started our budget process in all three towns that we were looking at two. One for Boxford, one for Middleton.
To take out.
Yes, and so now let him know that it's possible we could be doing three, so that they're aware. As everyone knows that they're going through their budget, just, working hard in their budget process as well. So I will communicate that to him.
Sorry.
That's it.
Trying so hard to wait. I apologize. What does that mean for our contract with them? Are we in year 3 out of 5?
I believe
Does
you're
it
correct.
matter?
I believe it's
Like,
year 3 or 5.
does it matter, like, the total number of buses, who uses how many? Does it
No, we
change?
have the right to adjust the total number of buses as
Okay.
we see fit.
So it's not like we've said we're going to give you this much for this many buses, no matter what, and we can't adjust the
No,
cost.
it's
Okay.
cost per bus,
Okay.
that's the way it's written.
Beautiful.
The thing is, we share, so let's say a bus costs $100,000, right? We split that cost. So if we don't run a bus and Masco runs the bus, they absorb that whole $100,000
I see what you're saying.
versus
Right.
50/50.
Yes.
So
I wonder what it would
Yes,
look like
yeah,
if
yeah, but-
each town, you know what I mean? Like if I'm sure the numbers will change depending on how many of the towns go through changing, potentially the elementary schools change how many buses they want to run, right? Like-
Right, so Boxford runs 11, Middleton and Topsfield run 7 each, both can run 7. And so we are right now looking at 1 in Boxford, 1 in Middleton, and now possibly 1 in Topsfield.
I just want to clarify Middleton. We didn't have the Middleton discussion on Monday, did we? About a bus?
We did not.
Okay.
But it's still.
Yeah, it's early.
Like early,
Yeah.
and it's still a possibility depending on some other things.
Correct.
That we will discuss throughout the next couple of months.
I would guess some of those will be, okay, when we relook at the routes, how long are the routes? How many are the kids? Like, what does this do for our kindergartners on the bus? Like, are they on there for 45 minutes?
It is a part of it, but the trick is the lay of the land is the lay of the land. And so when you go from 7 to 6, setting aside performance, you go from 7 to 6, that means the 6 absorb that route in that area. And so in order to make up any time on a route, one of the ways I see that you do it is you'd have to consolidate stops.
Right.
Conveniences go away, and you'd have to take, pardon me for saying this, a hard line. And it's not that we enjoy saying no, but instead of, okay, the bus stop is, 100 steps away from your driveway now, it's a quarter of a mile. Whether you're a kindergartner or a 6th grader, and your responsibility is to get there. And of course you want parents to be there with the children at the stops in the morning and in the afternoon.
I mean, I think consistency would be kind of the number one
sure.
preference, right?
Oh,
Over
absolutely.
how many steps.
And I would say,
it
like, I
takes.
don't think we would get, like, let's say tonight we talk about taking one bus off the table. I don't think
It's gonna-
NRT's going to give us, like, the new routes in a month. Like,
No.
that would be next year we would have
Yeah.
that information. So we sort of have to make that decision without necessarily knowing, which is the assumption that there'd be fewer stops.
Yeah, you'd exactly.
And honestly, again, the less times the bus has to stop, probably the more efficient the route. I don't know how that balances out with more
You're
kids
right.
and stuff.
And it's
but
not the end of the,
I-
I could go on my old man rant.
I know.
It's not the end of the world that a
I
kid
just
walks
think
a
the
little bit further to get to a
inconsistent. I
bus
mean,
stop.
maybe a parent from one of the least consistent routes should share comments, but like I think consistency
We
would
have
be
a
the
bus
key.
stop that is for our whole neighborhood that is quite far away from some people, and it's a wonderful experience for the kids to walk home together. And the older kids bring the little kids home, or the parents, and we all get to talk. And I mean, it's 18 max on that bus was 18 kids max.
What number? It was
24.
Okay.
Which is not probably 18 families or 18 stops or 18 households, right? Some of
Right.
those kids probably belong to the
Siblings.
same
Yeah.
household.
point.
So
Correct.
I think it makes the most sense
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, I mean, service continues to be politely very frustrating for Steve and I. Politely.
Okay.
And,
Also for those
and the
that-
principals.
where the buses
Thank
don't
you.
stop.
You're welcome, Karen. Politely. But we are frustrated with capitalize that, bold it, underline it, and
Yeah,
italicize
no, I
it.
understand.
Okay?
Yeah.
Things have not improved.
No. And we're getting on the horn with them again and asking for CEOs and other people to join us because we're frustrated.
Yeah.
So we'll keep you tuned in. But I think that's a thought worthy of discussion for sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, no, appreciate it.
All right, any other questions on buses? All right, moving on to principals and the December updates.
You're first on the page. Go ahead. Still the same routine.
Good evening, everybody. No new hires at Proctor at this time. We had a great art exhibit at Town Hall on Tuesday. It was in a very jammed area, but it was a lot of great stuff in there. A lot of people showed up. There's talk of next year maybe moving it to a little wider of an area. But Ms. Duchek did a great job. It was great to have Kevin have us in there as well. It's great collaboration we have going on so far. And the kids did amazing work. Sorry, my pictures are a little off. We got more like one person in there than really the stuff, but the kids did an amazing job. They really liked it. And then I don't know how many people showed up to the winter concert, but it blew my mind. Mr. Z said that it would be packed, and he was not kidding. It was like 40 or 50 people standing. The kids did an amazing job. They really did. It blew my mind. They didn't have a ton of time to work on that, but they really hit it out of the park, in my opinion. And then right before the holiday break, Miss White had some fourth graders in her class going around singing about the Layers of the Earth in a festive holiday song. And they were happy to be jingling around the world. So they were going around that day singing about it. So they had fun learning and singing. And then Tesco did a great job bringing in food for everybody right before break. So that's what I got.
Great. At Stewart, the kindergartners have been very busy before break. They had their very own Polar Express with Scott's theme of Polar Express for
Yes.
the admin team. It was
Thank you
awesome.
for the
We even
pictures.
had two of our very own little conductors that you can see. And then they did their kindergarten concert that's run by the teachers, and then each grade level has their own concert run by Mindy Swanson. So second grades is next week. We pride ourselves in having kids discover their passions. So our first passion time is next week on Wednesday. Some of you, Matt, will be running cornhole. Some other people will do some other fun events. But when it's not passion time, we do have different students that are involved in our chef program with Melissa Fazio, our behavior specialist. So just the toaster oven in the teacher's lounge, and they share their treats and do a fantastic job. I keep encouraging her to make a cookbook for schools because I don't know how she does it with so many little supplies. So Scott, those are your two new chefs.
Yeah, I was
that would
just
like
going to ask that.
to come.
When am I coming down to?
Yeah, so
be
I'll
with
find
our
out the
chefs?
time, but
Okay.
they are very excited for you to come.
All right, good.
It's often hard for them at the beginning of the chef program to share their treats, and
Got
they
it.
now just kind of started sharing, and so it's really fun.
I
Yeah,
look forward
it's
to
great.
it.
So, and then Ann Duchek does a nice job every year, every month, just displaying the artwork. So this is kindergarten and third grade artwork. And the kids have just done a fantastic job. She's noticed a significant difference in the kindergartners that attended our preschool and now are in our kindergarten, because if you remember, we started them going to specials just last year, and all the specials have really noticed that it's been a really nice transition for those students because they already know the art, music, library, and
Yes.
teacher and have that skill set. So they've just seen a lot of growth. And then Paige Ravato, our LED for math, is doing the monthly math challenges, packets that students can do K to 3. And then in the cafeteria, because why not add something to breakfast, lunch, Geo Day, and farm to table? We're doing Guess How Many. So the students just run up to the stage and have predictions based on different objects that are in buckets and having a fun time finding out who the winners are monthly. That's it.
Cool. Thank you. Any questions? All right, thank you, Rhett, very much. On to new business. Gifts and grants. I think
I don't think we have any. You guys are good. I mean, we just got back. Yeah, nothing.
All right, TSC goal review.
Yep. PDF in the drive, 23 to 26.
So we started doing this last year. It fell off over the summer. One thing I think so we won't revisit these. Well, we won't rewrite the goals until
Probably fall of 26. Get a new committee seated.
okay, I'll still be here. So, how many goals have I been part of? So one thing I think we could do is start looking now and start brainstorming about any new goals we want to add in the fall, because I think many of us will probably still be here in the fall. Yeah, Emily, when is your turn up? Are you up this year?
I'm up.
All right, full talk. And then, and also the other thing I think it's worth doing is sort of looking at the goals critically and sort of saying, where are we meeting these benchmarks that we set ourselves? I will freely admit I forget where we left off, and I did not go back through the minutes to figure out where we did.
Yeah.
I mean, I think given that we're in budget season, like looking at finance and asset management might make sense for this month. But also wanted to talk to the committee about how you think we should best use our goal time. Do we feel like we should be starting to the very beginning? I don't want to jump the gun on crafting new goals. Some of these, when I was looking through them, we've done. Check. Boop. So we could at least start highlighting the areas where new goals could be created. I am also, like I said, interested in looking at, are we meeting these goals? Wanted to talk to you guys about what you thought was best, or what your thoughts were.
My brain would love to see we finish this, or some sort of it's like a mini status update. But I've also realized that creating some sort of a file that does that is a lot of extra work, and I don't want to give that busy
Well, I
work
mean,
to
like,
anyone,
we could
but I want it
I
more
think you
like
just throw it in a spreadsheet and like have
Yeah, green,
columns for
yellow,
like.
maybe like the next step or something,
Yeah,
like
that makes
what
sense.
we're working on currently,
Yeah.
or like in progress, and then a
Can
really
I-
quick blurb or.
Offer something from the special ed world, if I can find it. Like from someone who wrote progress reports all day. Anyways, we could use the language from, or like kind of use the language
Do you mean like
from.
progressing towards, or
Yeah,
I don't know what you're thinking.
yeah, like that kind of. Not yet making progress, emerging progress, satisfactory progress. We've met the benchmark. We're exceeding expectations or something.
Or a report card.
Yeah, like I don't
Sort
know.
of.
Yes, I think that's achievable and doable, right? Like, that shouldn't take too much time from one of us, or many of us. Do we want to quickly look at finance and asset, just because we're in that mode?
Yes.
Because, hey, check the first one.
Okay.
Yes,
So-
Yes.
we have accomplished establishing a line item for
Yes.
technology purchases. Unfortunately, that number is not consistent every year,
Okay.
but
There's a line.
There's a line.
the line's there.
Next
Line's there.
is-
And the second one is, that's your HVAC and electrician, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Facilities talent acquisition,
Yeah.
those are huge. I mean, that was a tri-town thing.
And we
but
have an operations director now.
We have an operations
Is
supervisor.
HVAC still vacant? Or
Yeah, it's posted and they're searching, but
And
So
electric-
those could be the HVAC, blah, blah,
Elec-
posted open.
Correct.
You know, like those would be the
Electrician
quick,
hired,
quick,
X
quick,
date.
quick
Yeah.
little
up supervisor hired.
blurbs.
HVAC, super.
Oh, she's
Sorry, I'm trying to take the notes.
HVAC,
Yeah.
it's not, it's operations supervisor is
Ops.
Hired.
That's her.
the one you're thinking of, I think, Alyssa. And then
Colon
just
hired.
HVAC would be technician and then electrician. Yeah.
Thank you, guys, sorry.
And the next one we're going to do tonight. I
Right.
mean, that's going to be part of
Maybe we do that
always.
annually.
Always.
Yeah.
Just annual next step. Sorry.
So the next one is moving towards renewable, sustainable, environmentally friendly facilities and business practices whenever possible.
That's your new school.
Exactly. Yeah, that's 2035.
Check. Yeah, that's a little bit lofty, but that's
No
good.
way.
You have to set,
Exactly.
Only 10
you have to have
years
dreams.
from now?
So, but in all seriousness.
Yes,
We are composting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, reintroduce composting.
we have investigated solar, which we're sort of in a holding pattern on until we figure
right.
out what we're doing with the buildings.
SOI for MSBA, that would be an envelope
Right,
project.
right.
That would be big.
Yeah.
What any of the farm? I'm not sure if this is the right place for like the food service. That's
That's
not quite.
Sharice was doing like cleaning products at some point. Did we ever introduce
I was
those?
just going to say that to you. Steve, probably with Charisse, they're, from a facilities lens, now that we have the ops supervisor, Steve is trying to do more like thinking ahead and like, what's the towel program? What's the floor program? So he's doing those things. We can get you more details on that for the notes, but
Yeah.
that's definitely like a facilities, cleaning products that he uses and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's always been that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Has an eye on that for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the next one is articulate financial goals and strategic priorities. I mean, hello budget season.
Yeah. Do we have like a capital plan per se?
Yes.
And where is that like a
We-
document
Yep,
accessible
yep. We-
somewhere?
Yeah, absolutely. We can put it in the drive. When we get every year, Kevin, at Town Hall, they send out to all the departments, police, fire, library, a spreadsheet with 15 tabs on the bottom, police, fire, library. And then we have a capital plan that Steve and myself, we sit and we talk with Kevin about. So for us, like one of the things that, Kevin's put the first draft of I know it sounds crazy that's this early, but it's great that it's this early for the warrant to have some articles sort of pinned in already. It's great that Kevin is, ahead of the curve on that. And so like a capital thing that we've put forward to him for this summer is Proctor Gym, like some repainting and some mats. That was a Steve Clifford endeavor. But Steve has the whole capital plan. We can certainly put that in the drive for the next meeting if that's something that we want to take a deeper dive and review. Particularly during finance
We're
season.
sort of beholden to the town on how the things progress on the
100%.
capital plan, right? Because it's,
Yep. Right.
it's part of a town pool of
But
money.
I was just thinking ahead to again, we hear Masco is a bigger population, bigger buildings, bigger things. So we hear about these big looming numbers and things coming up. And, you guys are tracking many, many, many things. And some of them are small, and most of them are smaller numbers. And so it's just not, we don't typically have conversations about the windows and the doors and the floors until we need it. We need we're talking, there's so many, we've had so many warrants approved, separate warrants
security
approved for
systems and
those.
stuff.
Yeah, I tracked them all and put them on
Have
a
it.
chart for her. I was just thinking, trying to think preemptively about budget and discussions and our communication with the community and stuff about how do we express that we are always tracking, again, that you guys are always tracking those things and predicting and planning for those things, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
In a different round, I would highlight that we completely rolled extraordinary special ed into our budget, which was like a major financial planning
Agreed.
Well, yeah,
piece
stuff that
that
were on
we
our
did.
goals.
Strategic,
Right.
yeah.
and we
How
have
about the reserve funds and
The two reserve funds.
Yep.
Yeah.
And our attempts to fund.
Guys, we're gonna get an A on this report, guys.
I think we need an independent audit on that one.
And I would just say, as you think about goals, as you start to just give some early thought to it, and you get through our election and see who our committee is as we get into the summer, and we start to draft out our goals for 26 to 29, right, as we start to do that work. As I put my sort of tri-Connor, tri-town hat on, I just ask that as we do that, the goal is always to try to keep the big categories of like educational program, finance and asset management, leadership and governance, and family and community. Like that's the tethering of our three towns, is to try to keep those, you know, the towns can do their thing underneath each one, but we just try to keep those big categories.
This will help with the writing the annual,
Report.
submitting the annual
Yeah.
report
Yep.
is to grab from
That's true too.
this and be like,
That's a good point,
these
yeah.
are some significant, because someone who's read many of them, looking for data and different things, they look very similar, year to year. It's a little bit harder to really pull out those things that you did, know that.
I mean, the Topsfield Language Academy.
Yep.
I mean, that's a financial and a
Right.
and a
But it's like
education.
innovative
I put in there.
programming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should do this every week.
Stop.
I think that, yeah,
About, and the last one in the financial
public
was the
safety.
public
Scott does a great job keeping on top of, and
Yeah.
Brendan actually both do a good job
Yeah.
keeping on top of that.
That's-
A+ grade on that bullet point.
Brendan, I would agree with that.
I feel like
100%.
when you're grading yourself, it doesn't really qualify.
I'll grade Brendan A+.
He made that a factor.
Yeah, that's a constant. And actually, just a quick little side note on that, we continue to work to improve our plans, and we've got the DPW now involved, and, in the event we ever had to, let's say there was a gas leak, and we had to set a perimeter around the building, and because we didn't want people to head this direction, like, we've met police, myself, we've met with the DPW, and what's really great about that is they were great. Gary Wilds was outstanding. Like if you have to set a perimeter, you'd want big trucks, right? And you'd want big vehicles. You don't want small vehicles when you do that. And Gary had a great idea of we've identified what roads that we would have to shut down if we needed to establish a perimeter if there was, again, say a gas leak or something like that. And Gary talked about in all of his trucks, he's going to have a laminated card, I'm just going to name two streets. They're probably not going to be correct, but Main and Elm, right? And so whoever jumps in that truck will go to that spot. And so just kind of training people that way. And so we just continue to refine the plans. So yeah, that's ongoing for sure. Yep.
Cool.
Is there a specific topic we want to tackle next time? Next month, I should say. Well, the next month we'll see what that meeting's. If we're post FinCon, we may not want to
Right.
a ton of time in that meeting.
That might be all budget, that meeting,
Yeah, it might be a
potentially.
March meeting. Yeah, but either way,
So.
the next time we discuss goals.
Back on the list. Okay.
Yeah, I guess we'll.
Well, if we do leadership and governance, I need to get myself in gear to do some of the things on there.
Yeah, so Alyssa, it sounds like you want to, I don't want to put more on your plate. Will you work with me to create a spreadsheet?
No problem.
Since you're just writing stuff down?
Yeah.
Or just pass along the information you just
Yeah,
took down?
no
Thank you. And then Candace will run it by you, so it makes, well, I've run it by everybody, so it makes sense intuitively. All right, cool, thank you. NESDEC enrollment projections.
In the drive, you'll see a folder that reads NESDEC info. The documents in there, there's a subfolder called last year's info. I dumped the PDF from last year in case anyone wants to do the side-by-side comparison. You'll see the 25 PDF. It can be a little tedious to read, so I always try to put together a PowerPoint. So in that folder, if you could open the PowerPoint that says NESDEC T for Topsfield. I'll give folks a minute to get in there. Here we go. And very quickly, slide 1 is just the title slide. Slide 2 is a cover sheet that they always give us, and I try to highlight for you The NESDEC enrollment projection fell within 30 students of the K to 6 total, 553 versus 523 enrolled. A variance of 18 students occurred at K, 90 projected versus 72 enrolled, so their ratios have been adjusted. We'll talk about that in a minute. Births increased by 9 from a previous 10-year average of 42 to a projected average of 51. And over the next 3 years, grade K to 3 enrollment is projected to increase by 14 students. Grade 4 to 6 is projected to decrease by 51 students when you think of the outage of our 6th grade kids as students move through the grades. And so if you go to the next slide, this gives you the last 10 years, right? You can see the little COVID dip there in the middle, but 598 back in 15, 16, and then held pretty steady, high 5s, low 6s, the COVID dip to 550, and then we've been kind of hanging in the 5s, the mid 5s, and then 523. And if you go to the next slide, it'll be the next 10 years, and again, these are projections, and you'll see some 4s start to emerge potentially in 27, 28, 28, 29, and we'll talk about that in a second. And then the climb back up to a high of like 556. And the next slide is that same exact slide as the previous one, but what I did was I put last year at this time, if you look at the bottom, in 24-25, they were telling us we would have 553 kids in 25-26, and we had 523. In 24-25, a year ago when we all sat here, almost exactly a year ago, they said we would have 555 kids on the bottom in blue there, and they're now projecting 512. And you can kind of do that all the way across. You can see the 541, the 490, the 543, the 486. And you can see that it's trending down. And so out of curiosity, if you go to the next slide, I grabbed the one from 21, just sort of tilted it sideways so it's sort of like notifying it that it's from 21. And it's fascinating, right? I mean, the projections were very high then. So that's not that long ago, you're only 4 years ago. So let's pick 2029 as an example. So in 2021, they were saying that in 2029 we would have 610 kids. Go back up a slide. Last year in 2029, they were saying that we were going to have 549 kids. So we went from 610 to 549, and now they're saying in 2029 we'll have 503. Following that sort of path? Yeah, interesting, right? 4 years later, right? And so it's their projections. They do the best they can with these projections. That's a big, 610 to 5, what was the number? What was the number, Andrew?
503.
503, thank you. Yeah, over 100 students, right? So that's 4 or 5 sections, right? So I'm seeing that in all 3 towns. I had this conversation in Middleton on Monday. I'm going to have it in Boxford next Thursday. And so I've emailed the NESDEC people, because now I want to get on a Zoom with them, because I'm just like, wait a minute, this, we're planning.
Change their methodology,
What's
going on?
Like what's happening, because we plan off of this. Like we try to budget and say, okay, how many gym classes are you going to need? How many art classes are you going to need? How many sections are we going to need? Like we try to do some planning around staffing and obviously consumables and all of that stuff.
Yeah, 90 kindergartners,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're tracking it, and so Steve and I have a call, I think it got scheduled today for next Thursday, with the NESDEC people to ask these exact questions. I mean, in Boxford, in 20 or 21, it was a 4-digit number. It was like 1,012 kids by 2029, and we were all saying, where are these kids going to come from, 1,029 kids?
Houses are going to come from,
Yeah, where's the housing going to come from? Or even like the flipping of, the older generation leaving and the younger generation with maybe kids coming up versus kids going off to college. And those 4-digit numbers are now like 700, right? So that's a 300 student swing. That's massive. And when we talked to the select board and the FinCom about that years ago, we were all like, where are these kids going to come from? Well, lo and behold, they're not, right? They're not coming from anywhere. So we need to have a little chitty chat with the NESDEC folks about all of that. If you go past the slide that says from 2021, just kind of reorient yourself to that. The next one is the line graph of the last 10 years versus the next 10 years. You can kind of see a bit of a dip coming in the years ahead. And then you see this birth to kindergarten relationship. I know it's a little squinchy on the bottom there, but if you want to go to the last column this year, right, K to 25, 26. So these are the kids that were born in 20. And so there were 55 births, 72 kindergartners, is that about right? Yeah, so 72 kindergartners from those 55 births, and then that's always a fascinating thing to look at as well. So now go backwards from right to left. There were 35 kids born in 19, but we had 60 kids show up for kindergarten. The year before that, 47 kids were born in Topsfield, 63 rolled into kindergarten, 3870, I remember that year, right, 22-23. So the birth decay is another one there's a factor that they use. It's like a 1.35 or 1.4, I don't know what the exact formula is, but I also want to ask them about that. How does that sort of unfold? If you go to the next slide, there's a lot of information on this one, so just go to the right of the arrow. I just sort of blew up that little chart there. This is sort of the next 10 years again. It's the next 10-year chart, the same as the chart I just showed you, but if you go to the final slide, again, this compares that table from 24-25 to 25-26, and you can kind of see the numbers in a side-by-side. They were saying last year, over the course of 10 years, we pick up 40 kids. Now they're saying over the course of the next 10 years, we'll pick up 27 with all the pluses and minuses. So we shall see. The 490 and the 486, again, a lot of that depends upon who's rolling in for kindergarten. Have we started K-Reg yet?
We have not,
Okay.
but with the census and the current preschoolers that we have, it could potentially be up to 62.
Okay.
But we're waiting on, we figured everything out through Power School. We're waiting on a link that parents can upload all their information on their own. So that's all set with Julie, so it'll be next week.
Nice. Yeah.
Only at 5 sections?
Right now,
Yeah.
4 sections.
4 sections kindergarten.
Online enrollment.
Yeah, we've been doing that for school brains for a long time, but
It's just so nice.
yes, it's much easier.
So any questions, thoughts on that? And if you want the whole shebang, so to speak, if you go back to the drive, that whole thing that I just read to you is in the that PDF that reads 25 Topsfield, Mass, K through 6. So that's a 14-page PDF. You'll see a lot of the same charts in there, but then that's interesting to look at too, because if you go to the very end, or second to the very end, the 13th or 14th page of that PDF, you can see across, they do this analysis sort of across the country and then across New England. And, this idea of enrollment continues to have somewhat a downward shift regionally as well. So, anywho, we always kind of use that to cue up the budget conversation.
My only thought is, in theory, you could use this data to sort of project out classroom sections going forward.
Yep.
But given the high variability of the efficacy of the data.
Correct.
And also, if you look over the next 10 years, if you believe their projections, in theory, you could lose a section in 27, but you're going to need it right back in 30.
Exactly right.
And we know how hard it is to get things back in once they've been taken out.
Yep.
So it's all sort of the calculus.
It is, and we've done that, that most recently that's happened in Middleton just last year. We knew that our K was going to be low, but we knew the next year coming in was going to be high, so the committee made the decision, let's just sit tight, because to your point, Andrew, it'll be very hard to go try to add that back to the budget, so let's just keep it in the budget.
It's an automatic override if you add a section.
Absolutely right. Yep. Yep.
All right.
Maybe that's a good way of talking about overrides in our budget as well. As many ways as we can help people conceptualize, what increases and year-to-year changes are like. Say, for example, if we needed to add one section, literally one section, given the associated average costs, that's an associated percentage of about X, which almost automatically means if the numbers
Yeah, that's fair.
we're working in small margins here.
Very.
So
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the budget.
So again, I give a lot of credit to, it pains me to say it because I'll hear tomorrow, won't be able to get his head through the door, but I give a lot of credit to Mr. Greenberg. It doesn't pain me. I do give him a lot of credit. ClearGov has been very, very good for us. It has allowed us to get out earlier with the budget process, for sure. We are way ahead of where we usually are. Typically by now, we haven't even had our Saturday budget meeting, and we are already, we had a meeting last month where we kind of did the broad strokes, and Steve put the budget out to everybody, so it has been a Herculean effort, and again, kudos to Steve for doing that across 3 towns. It has really helped the conversations begin at an earlier stage, for sure, and it is appreciated, and Steve has some updates for the committee tonight, so in the drive, if you find the Excel sheet that says TSC meeting, turn it over to Mr. Greenberg to give us sort of a review and take us through that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Morrison. Thank you all. So, in the drive is the Google sheet, and it is a quick rundown. And I'll go through each document quickly and answer any questions the committee may have as we go the first part of it is the calculation of our guideline, so that you can see our guideline budget after you're looking at all the information winds up being $12,614,253. And that based upon our draft that we have, even though we balance it to get to that number, we have this gap of right now $53,769. And one of the things I want to stress is that with ClearGov, even though it's year 2 for the operating budget and the budget book, it's year 1 with the personnel piece. So as we go through and we've been doing multiple audits on all of the personnel pieces, and we're doing another one now. We've trained somebody up to look at the information, because the only one that could audit would be me. So I'm auditing my own work. So I have another person looking at it to make sure. But one of the things we picked up on was with regard to longevity. It was doing a summative versus a max, which means that if a person was already getting longevity, let's say for 14 years, and let's say it was $1,000, and then when they go to the 15th year, they get $1,500. So it would add it, so that it was $2,500, and it should only be the $1,500. So when we look at that and the number of people, it created this overinflation of about almost $100,000. So we're able to clean that up, and I'm very happy about that. So right now we have this gap of $53,769, and I think where do we want to go? I don't. This is it's a good chance to start the discussion.
And these lines are important to talk about.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Yep. See, I did. Should have had myself. When we develop, we use this term in December and throughout this process, and we say level service budget. But in fact, it's truly not a level service budget because of the way that we did our calculations for our non-salary lines, our consumable lines. So that we took our consumable lines and we said, okay, we'll take our FY25 actuals and we'll add 3% inflation factor to it, and that will be our proposed FY27. A side note to keep in mind with that is that when you look at those 25 actuals and you look at that 25 budget, we created that budget in 23. So there's this like 2-year lag. So we have this, from an inflation factor, a 2-year lag on our consumables, theoretically. And so when we say that, and we look at this level service budget, that supplies and consumables, not including the curriculum, the 202, that reduction is already 7.19%. That when you factor in the curriculum materials not being in our budget as a whole, that's another 22.85%. And in that area. And then when we look at professional development as a whole is going down 34.15%. And so these are things just to keep in mind as we go through this deliberation process and have these discussions. And I already talked about that, the inflation factor. Anything else that you think I missed?
Yeah, no, I think just another way to say what Steve was saying, you look at that draft budget gap of 53, like it went from 153 to 53, and like, wow, that's good, right? That's a positive for sure. But I do think we just have to be cognizant of the fact that if you add all of that up, the 53 plus the consumable 63 plus the 202 that is being removed from the elementary school budget, plus the 76, it's close to like $400,000. Like when you add all of those numbers together, right? In terms of a budget gap. And again, the way that we did the budget in all 3 towns this year, as Steve has talked about, is different. We looked at FY25 actuals, added a 3% inflationary rate, and so that's sort of where we landed. But I think it's just important to highlight that in terms of any discussion that we have, and buses and all these other things that will be in the stew as we continue this work.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
So, again, I'll reiterate my disappointment that the 202 was, I'll say, taken from us.
Get over it.
I know, I'm sort of over it too because the cow has left the barn, the horse has left the barn, the cow has burned down the town, whatever. I still find it interesting that we can approve $202,000 at town meeting for schools, and then it is reappropriated for other town functions. And I think that we will continue making that point. It's always good to keep it on the record. In terms of where to go from here, I mean, sure, it would be nice to sit. 53,000 is probably something we can cover with revolving accounts and things like that. I am concerned about the reductions that we have made in other areas. So personally, I would be interested in, it's not found money, but the 100,000 that was a compounding error in reinstating some of the consumables in the PD that were removed to get us to a guideline budget. In terms of, well, then how do we cover that extra cost? I think that's something, we still have to present to the finance committee next month, about a month from now, actually.
Yep.
So we'll get some feedback from them too, and I haven't talked to Kevin about where the town's at right now. But we can sort of figure out how we want to cover that cost, whether through it's a mix of, we've all sort of said we don't want to do an override, so look at revolving funds and things like that. In terms of how to cover that and what's feasible and what sort of levers we want to pull. But again, wanted to open up the floor to others to see what y'all are thinking.
Usually Chapter 70 money that comes in.
I'm looking at Peggy because I think about professional development, and I'm wondering about our ability to sustain our new curriculum rollout and follow up, and whether that would be impacted.
Yeah, and I know you asked that question last month, so I said I would come back this month with some details related to that, so I can provide that. So just something to know about looking at that overall percentage. That is a 34% reduction in professional development, but some things within professional development are actually contractual and can't be reduced, and therefore have to be funded at like 100%, which means other lines have to take a much deeper cut. So one of the lines that took a very deep cut was PD contracted services, and that's the line from which we pay all outside vendors who do professional development with us. So HMH for interreading, but frankly, any sort of outside vendor that we're using. And so Steve used the actuals in FY25 in order to produce that number with the 3% inflation. And that's an accurate number from what was actually spent from the operating budget, but we offset that amount with a significant amount of grants. So that year, what we charged to the operating budget in FY25 was just over $13,000, but at the time, Topsfield had quite a lot of money in grants. So we offset over $29,000 in costs. So our actual contracted services costs that year were just over $42,000. And so what we're projecting for next year is $16,000 in the operating budget. But our grants have depleted from what was about $100,000 in grants when I first started 6 years ago in the Tri-Town to this year, which is only $5,100. And so if we assume that that stays stable, the total amount of funding that we would have available to us between grants, and that is assuming we even get the grant, but if it stays stable for next year, we're looking at a total, sorry, I have this in different lines here, we'd be looking at a total amount of funding of about $21,000. We spent $42,000 a couple of years ago, looking at what our needs would be for next year if we were to do like all the things that we want to do around interreading. We're also looking to support bringing ST Math up to grades 4 through 6. We have been trying over the last couple of years to support some of the other content areas because places like art and music and they also deserve to have professional development that and bringing in outside people, and that has a cost to it as well. And then also, we've talked about this before, but that all of the programs that we looked at, writing was something that we didn't feel when we were looking for a literacy program was as explicit or as systematic as it needed to be. So we've talked about wanting to bring in SRSD, which is self-regulated strategy development. It's an approach to teaching writing. It's not like the content of writing, which would be still into reading, but it's an approach to teaching writing that has a very strong research base behind it, shows large effect sizes, and students who use this would give us a common language and common approach, and can be married with any curriculum program. So it is something that we dabbled in a couple of years ago, but would like to revisit. If we were to do that, that cost, and that's one of those joined hands endeavors in the tri-town, so it's like a tri-town cost. The Topsfield share would be $17,500 each year for 2 years if we were to do that. And if any one of the 3 towns can't afford to do that, we can't do it in the tri-town because it's a shared endeavor, right? So my concern is with only $21,000 in funding, if we were to pay for that, we have like $4,000 left. That doesn't fund any inter-reading PD or any other professional development. So that's just the math. And so that sort of for your deliberation, but it certainly would not allow us to do. I did do projections on if we did another round or 2 of coaching with inter-reading next year, continue our coachly licenses, something we use as administrators to be able to consult with HMH. It's a very useful thing. Do some work around SRSD. We do have a very small Hill partnership where we have new staff members come on. We continue to train them in the SOR and the small group training. And then we want to bring that ST Math up. And then just like the January PD Day has some costs. And we've been doing AVMR training for our interventionists. So there's a whole bunch of other priorities. So in adding all of that up, the projected PD costs, if we were able to do all those things, it would be on the low end for 1 round of inter-reading coaching for each grade level. It would be just over $42,000. On the high end, it would be almost $54,000, and that's if we do 2 rounds of inter-reading coaching. So we're looking at a funding around $21,000, costs ranging between $42 and $54 if we did everything that we would hope to do in PD.
And I think, Peggy, you bring up a good point, just like the lay of the land across the 3 towns, just so you have that piece. I think it's always important to share that as well. So we had Middleton on Monday. They're looking at like a $775,000, like that draft budget gap here where it says 53, put a 7 in front of it, right, for Middleton, $753,000, $774,000, somewhere in that range. And again, that is after already hitting facilities like Steve had to hit here, hitting curriculum, hitting professional development. And then in Boxford, it's about the same, right, Steve? It's about 760 or so, something like that. And we have that meeting next Thursday. At the meeting on Monday in Middleton, they voted a series of reductions because we have to start doing the work there, obviously, and we have to start doing the work in Boxford because they're big numbers. And, you're into sections and all the things that you've been down this road before in Topsfield. And supports to the classroom and so on and so forth. So we'll see how that unfolds, but I think it's always important for all 3 towns to have an understanding of the lay of the land as well.
So as a practical matter, having hands held to fund like
SRSD. Yeah, I mean, that remains to be seen. I think the difference between Topsfield and the other 2 towns right now, and it could change because the federal landscape is changing around these grants, but if these grants continue to exist, they have more funding capacity and grants than Topsfield does. They are, they typically get in the Title II and Title IV grants somewhere in the range of $20,000, and they typically also have a Title I grant, and there are certain PD costs that, not all, but certain PD costs that can be charged to Title I. So that gives them a capacity of somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 in grants. Again, assuming the grants come through, which I can't guarantee. And part of the problem with this process is that we don't know what grants we're getting till late July, and that's well past our budget window, right? So, but we know that the numbers have been plummeting, frankly, in Topsfield, and are almost negligible at this point in terms of what it has for grant funding. So in order to be able to play on a level playing field, like their cuts have been just as deep in the other 2 towns. Their budget numbers are looking just the same because I was offsetting their grant fund. I was offsetting theirs with grants as well. But they, at least at the moment, have grants capacity that you do not have in Topsfield. And I think that's where it becomes inequitable between the 3 towns.
Got it.
So because of the demographic makeup of our.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so you lost the Title I grant because of the demographic makeup, and the Title II is an entitlement grant, but it is tied in part to those same demographics. But the Title IV, I had no idea, because every year it was just $10,000, so it was just a given, that apparently the year after you no longer have a Title I grant, you no longer get a Title IV grant. So that was a total surprise to me this year, that we lost an additional $10,000 of funding that I thought we were going to have. So, and I don't have any reason to believe that these numbers are going to go back up.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, I mean, clearly, the investments into reading and all that stuff, like whatever is needed to sustain that, it should be a top priority, right?
Well, right. I mean, we've always also prioritized
Yeah.
investing in our teachers
Yeah.
and investing in the students, and PD is an amazing way to do that.
Sorry.
So, yeah. One other thing. You're good. My shoulder's been killing me back.
Brendan, you want to say?
Oh yeah, Brendan. Any thoughts?
No, I 100% agree with everything you said, Andrew, and I'm glad you made the statement there that they took the 202 away. I think that needs to be known to our residents that what they voted for is now not the school's budget. So that's my only comment on that. But no, I agree 100%, Andrew.
So, I mean, I don't think we're necessarily, we being the school committee, necessarily best served being like, hey, we think $45,000 should go here, $65,000 should go here. For now, since we're not making any final decisions, do we want to ask Steve and Scott to like add back $100,000 in PD and consumables and sort of see what that looks like?
Yeah, and just to remind people, we cut a significant amount of consumables last year.
Well,
to
I
bring
feel
down
like
the
every year we
override.
cut some consumables. Yeah,
Yeah, so, yes.
But we
I would
ordered a
like-
lot in advance with the 202.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Yeah.
Say that one more time, Karen.
We ordered a lot in advance with the 202.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're well stocked for now.
Yes.
like we asked parents to buy all the classroom
Yeah.
supplies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Start doing
Yes,
that.
I would agree that we should maintain the 100,000.
So, I mean, and again, the other thing I would ask Steve is if you could project what things would look like also with one fewer bus than we currently have. Because it seems like there's interest on the committee to,
Yes.
I know. I'm just confused about what's in ClearGov regarding the bus. So it says guideline first level service is negative 48,000.
And that was that, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, because I don't understand it.
So let me look at this real quick. Right. Yeah, right now, so to get that, to get the budget balanced, you know,
Yes.
it's sitting there right
Yes.
now. All right? And so it is getting it there, but when we do it, you know, when you say, so let's say we're not doing anything, all right, and that we're just gonna address this gap of 50-some odd thousand, that 48 is in there. You're gonna tell me, see, I had to do it to balance it. You're gonna tell me though, as a committee, where you really wanna put it. So even though I put it there with the bus, because originally it was 150. So I said, okay, 15 salaries, 15
Right.
consumables, 15 the bus. So now that it's down to the 40-some odd, get rid of the salary part, get rid of the other supply part. So this is just the remnants. Now you're that of that 50. So you're gonna tell me, all things being equal, where do you wanna put it? So we would take it away from the bus and put it wherever, you know, if we had other things that, or you're gonna say, no, we're gonna use another funding source. So then that goes away as well. All right, so it's just, it was anchored there.
Okay.
So now, even though you see it, and you say add 100 back in, and then we'll have now this 150. So now I'm gonna have to put this 150 somewhere to keep that budget in ClearGov at the guideline. Because I'm assuming our goal will be, depending on where the conversations go, that we're gonna either be a guideline or something different. So right now, my assumption is we're on track to stay or be at guideline. So the numbers, once, as you give me direction, will change to fall in line with your direction. So right now, even though it's sitting there, it can go anywhere.
So it's just a placeholder in clear.
Yes, exactly right. Thank
It's
you.
a $48,000 placeholder.
That was much easier. I'm just like beating it to death, but yes.
But is that accurate? No, I'm asking as a question.
Absolutely,
Okay.
just a place, it's.
so basically, yeah, so the projected for next year, if we took a bus away, the 339 would drop to whatever, I'm not great at math. Yes.
You know, I mean, so,
Makes sense.
It's fine.
so.
Yes, I support the professional development and consumer being at level
And
service.
if you say add it back in, but then you're also saying, but I also want to tentatively reduce a bus.
Yes.
Then, you know, it's 100 in, 48 out.
Yeah.
Right.
So then it's that net effect.
Yeah. I think that's what we're interested in, yeah.
All right, so
Brendan, does that sound good to you?
indicate it on this sheet?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think what the committee's asking is like, see the budget with, 100 of lines 19 and 21.
Right. In some ratio.
Some ratio.
Yep.
And also taking a bus.
Okay. All right. Is this a motion kind of thing or just an exercise?
It's an exercise right now.
Yeah, because I don't think we're saying that this is what
No.
we're going to do.
You wanna see what
we
it
just
looks
wanna
like.
see what it looks like so
Yeah.
that we can make an informed decision
Yeah.
in February. Any other thoughts on the budget for right now? What was the NESDEC projection for kindergarten next year?
It was,
We said there's probably 62 at least.
Yeah, definitely.
give me 1 second, Andrew.
That's already 15 minutes.
Yeah. And then we're watching the bubble at first grade.
Because that's the.
That's where we get move-ins.
Right. First grade's the fun one too.
Mm-hmm. You love first grade this year.
It's funky. Just kidding, Grant Guster.
It's a great grade.
They are saying for next year's 26, 27, right?
Yes.
71 kids is their NESDEC prediction. Yeah.
So that's just another thing to watch too, is that we do have a currently large kindergarten. We have potentially an incoming large kindergarten. What's the 6th grade size? What are they rolling off? They're not huge though, right? There's one big grade somewhere, right?
This year's current 6th grade?
Who's the biggest grade?
Current
Is 5th
fourth
grade
grade.
biggest?
Fourth grade.
Current fourth grade is big.
Current 4th grade's big.
Current fourth grade 72.
But how
So
many are
next
rolling
year's
out?
fourth grade 72.
How many are
Whereas-
rolling out of 6th?
83.
Only a few, yeah.
83? So 83 out, 71 in. Look at it from that,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
if the 71 holds.
Right. It's always fun. So that's something else we could talk about, or we can think about more now. We can talk about in February. Or we could talk about it now. I mean, I don't know how, I mean, the thing is like,
Talk about
sections.
talk about sections. It's like the third rail, but.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, you add a section, it doesn't necessarily alleviate the problem, because it's not like you're taking that one teacher and spreading all the kids amongst them. You're really just benefiting one grade, essentially.
And if I may, we can think creatively about the current 2nd grade is at 4 sections and the current 3rd grade is at 5 sections. So,
So
you
you can
could
always-
technically move your
Yeah.
3rd grade down to 1st grade.
All right, let's not talk about sections right now.
You sound like your cold is developing
Yeah,
by the minute.
We're
Mrs.
good.
Villa.
About,
It's all
we all
good.
get up the flu when we walk out of here?
No, I don't have the flu. I'm good.
I mean, are we ever going to restore that 5th grade section? Or is that,
Do they?
Which one was that one?
2 years ago, we cut the 5th grade section. We used to have 5.
So,
It's always dependent, I would say, Emily, on just overall enrollment. Like as opposed to like a 5th grade section.
Yeah.
We always look like, when we say we have to reduce a section, like in Middleton, we have to reduce 3 sections.
Yep.
We said to the committee,
We're
we
not
just
saying
asked that
which
you say
grade.
3 sections and not 1, 2, K1,
Right.
2, 3, because we could get 30 move-ins, and it might be 4, 5, 6 that we're
Right.
moving sections from,
We're
so.
saying figure it out.
That's why we get placement in August now.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
I have a question. Does Boxford still do a multi-age,
Yes.
like is it a 2-3,
1-2.
1-2, 2-3? I'm sorry,
2 1-2s.
2 1-2s. Is that? I'm just curious. Has Topsfield ever done that? Because it hasn't.
We did a
I can't
2-3.
remember.
Yeah, we did
Oh,
2-3.
COVID.
But then COVID happened.
Right. I thought it was a Zoom COVID thing. I thought there was one during.
It was the year, I think it was the year before COVID.
I do too.
Because
I
we
don't think
we
it
didn't
was-
have a
it was not
combined
the
class
COVID
during
year.
COVID, so it was the year before
Okay.
COVID, and then. there
I
was
was
a
just
lot of
curious.
Correct.
Yeah, if that just like if that would be, I don't know, be a consideration whether or not that would be helpful when we're looking at things like this, like with sections and bubble classes and stuff like that, and like would there be some kids that would benefit from that, but I have no idea what the teacher's perspective is on that. I've just
Yeah.
had heard feedback from Boxer parents in that, and like,
Well received.
again,
in Boxford.
anecdotal, loved it.
Yeah, well received.
The kids who I've had in after school for those classes really enjoy the class. For whatever it's worth.
So anecdotal
Anecdotal
family
student
positive.
feedback.
Yeah. Anyway, I was just curious if that's, would we need to do anything differently as far as union agreements, policies, or would this be a principal decision, a committee decision, a superintendent decision?
Principal,
Like-
obviously, this committee guidance, but ultimately principal decision, looking at, taking feedback, and then the big part of that is making sure, it's finding the right staff member who is interested in doing that as
Got
well.
it.
You want to have that marriage,
Of course.
right? You want to have that person
Okay.
who is doing that. So I would say a couple different pieces associated with it, but I think the sections conversation is probably, just in general, all of it, I think it's probably good after we get through like FinCom and the next meeting, I think, just kind of get the lay of the land of where things stand.
That's fair. All right, anything else budget related? All right, moving on. Oh, policy subcommittee.
Yes. Thank you for your feedback on the budget. We appreciate it, for sure. So thank you to Candace and Dave in Middleton and Aisha in Boxford, our policy sub. So we continue, Antoinette always monitors MASC, and when we monitor MASC, we look to see what are new policies that they are promoting versus revisions, and then we bring those to the policy subcommittee for efficacy reasons, because it would be a challenge to do it at the committee level 3 times. So we appreciate our subcommittee for sure. And so you guys know the drill. At this point, I'll walk you through all the policies, but before we can even engage in that, we need someone to waive BGB.
All right, so yeah, as Candace pointed out, we will do this in the same order.
Yes.
Brendan, you'll be our caboose, because we'll have to do a voice vote as we do this. So I will make a motion to waive policy BGB.
And I will second.
Andrew Prazar, aye.
Candace Snyder, aye.
Emily King, aye.
Alyssa Guston, aye.
Brendan Gahagan, aye.
Thank you. All right, first policy is ECAB in your drive. This is a new policy from MASC. It's about access to buildings and grounds. It's a timely policy because we've been having these conversations as a leadership team. So the buildings and grounds of our 3 towns represent a significant community investment. I'm going to paraphrase, it's the best interest of the public that they be secured while providing maximum community use. During school hours, access to our schools are limited to those who work here, learn here, and have a legitimate business. Those visiting must follow visitor policy. Access to the school grounds during the day, except for those people, is prohibited. During outside of school hours on a non-school days, the public is welcome to use the grounds from dawn until dusk under procedures promulgated by the superintendent. And same thing on weekends and so on and so forth. And so it's a timely policy because we have been wanting to put some signs up at the schools, just letting people know, like, hey, you can't actually use this during the school day or that during the school day. And we now have a policy to root it in, right? So we'll be able to take language from this policy per school committee policy, whether we call it ECAB or access to buildings and grounds, and we'll take some of the language off this, and that will allow us to put some signage around our schools. We love our community and welcome our public, and at the same time, we always want to make sure we're maintaining safe environments for everybody. So our principals are very cognizant with their cameras and their eyeballs of just if they see people that aren't there, going out and having a pleasant conversation with folks, and signage will help us. So this was reviewed and approved by the policy subcommittee, and we'd be seeking approval by the Topsfield School Committee for this policy as presented.
I will make a motion to accept policy ECAB as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, Andrew Prazar, aye.
Candace Snyder, aye.
Emily King, aye.
Alyssa Guston, aye.
Brendan Gahagan, aye.
Thank you very much. EFBA, school food, nutrition, and meal modifications. This is a new policy, and this basically talks about that in compliance with U.S. second paragraph, USDA and DESI regs, our school districts will provide substitutions to the school food service program, regular school meals at no extra cost for children who aren't able to eat meals served because of their disability or other special dietary reasons. And then there's 3 follow-up items there that we're ensured that everything is through USDA and the substitutions are at no extra charge. And families must complete any form that can be provided by the school or accessed via the link below if needed. And so this was a new policy reviewed and approved at the policy subcommittee level, seeking approval at Topsfield School Committee tonight for EFBA.
I will make a motion to accept policy EFBA as presented. All those in,
Second.
all those in favor, Andrew Prazar, aye.
Candace Snyder, aye.
Emily King, aye.
Alyssa Guston, aye.
Brendan Gahagan, aye.
The next three policies tell me that somewhere in the state, somebody messed up with raffles, and now they're all putting all this raffle language in the policies. So you're gonna see raffle in the next three policies. So GBEBC, which is just not only fun to say, it's the gifts to and solicitations by staff. You already approved this policy a year ago. The revision, you'll see raffles and games of chance. By state law and regulation, raffles and games of chance may not be organized by schools as a sponsoring organization. Employees are barred from participating in such activities unless doing so as a member of a sponsoring organization, such as a PTO or booster, as defined by state law. And then the other little line that we already know that we have in our agendas every time is gifts and donations. So reviewed and approved at the subcommittee level, seeking approval for GBEBC by the committee.
I will make a motion to accept policy GBEBC as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, Andrew Prezar, aye.
Candace Snyder, aye.
Emily King, aye.
Melissa Guston, aye.
Brendan Gahagan, aye.
You sure it wasn't like someone in his NCAA pool or something
I
like that?
have no idea, but somebody definitely messed up because it's in the next two ones. So you already approved this one in 2025. This is student fundraising activities, JJE. We already did this one, but now you can see in red there, the committee recognizes that families have different, we like this language, families have different resources. Those differences should, as much as possible, not be highlighted by school activities, including fundraising. We thought that was a good line. But then the last part, again, student groups are barred by state law from regulation of organizing raffles and games of chance, participating in sale or purchasing tickets of such games. So the committee approved this and reviewed it, and we'd be seeking approval by Topsfield School Committee tonight as presented.
I will make a motion to accept policy JJE as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, Andrew Prezar, aye.
Candace Snyder, aye.
Emily King, aye.
Melissa Guston, aye.
Brendan Gahagan, aye.
KBE, more raffle fun. We already approved this one in 2025. Relations with parent and booster organizations. If you go look at item 3 now, all parent booster organizations wishing to conduct raffles and games of chance must comply with all applicable required federal, state, and local laws and regulations, including but not limited to the receipt of all necessary permits and the filing of all reports and schedules, and then some updates to the legal references and cross-references below, reviewed and approved by the subcommittee, seeking approval tonight at Topsfield School Committee.
I will make a motion to accept policy KBE as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, Andrew Prezar, aye.
Candace Snyder, aye.
Emily King, aye.
Melissa Guston, aye.
Last policy is sorry.
Brendan Gahagan, aye.
Thanks, sorry, Brendan.
All right, I get it.
I'm on a roll. KBG is Parent Advisory Council. This is a new policy. This is related to CPACs and what are called an LPAC. So Mass General Law requires the formation of Parent Advisory Councils, specifically as it relates to special education and English learners. And so there's language there around special education parent advisory councils, which we have established here in the Tri-Town, and the folks as part of that committee meet regularly with Matt, and I believe they meet with Matt's counterpart at Masco, Brad. Brad, yep. And then an LPAC is required in Mass under the following conditions: schools or districts operating a language acquisition program serving 100 or more students, which comprise at least 5% of the district's school population, would have to have an LPAC. We are currently not in that mode, but with that said, Karen Pyrog, who is our EL coordinator, does a lot of community outreach and work with our families who are our English language learner families, and does a lot of night activities and meetings with in consultation with Masco. They do a lot of work together for sure.
Yep.
So this is a new policy, reviewed and approved by the subcommittee, and seeking approval by the Topsfield School Committee tonight.
I will make a motion to accept policy KBG as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, Andrew Prezar, aye.
Candace Snyder, aye.
Emily King, aye.
Melissa Guston, aye.
Brendan Gahagan, aye.
And no raffles for CPAC or LPACs. Right? Perfect. All right.
I had big plans for a raffle, too.
What's that?
I said I had big plans for a raffle.
Well, you're out of luck, my
Scrap
friend.
that. That's how I was going to fund my new school.
You are.
What?
I love it.
The what, would you say?
I won the Tespo raffle door prize.
Fundraiser.
It's a great door.
Well,
At the
That's
bottom.
okay. They're a parent organization.
Okay.
Danielle was always really good about
Yes,
the
I
paperwork
appreciate
involved.
All right, so our next meeting date currently is scheduled as February 5th. So we are presenting to Finance Committee on February 9th. The initial thought was that, given her relatively settled budget situation, that we may not have enough to discuss budget-wise or content-wise on the 5th, and that it might make sense to meet directly after the Finance Committee meeting on the 9th, if that works for people's schedules. Emily, I know you said that that probably will not work for you. But what are thoughts on, do we know when we fall on the finance?
So I saw Amanda emailed me tonight. It's okay to have Catherine
Yeah.
connect, but I think they're going to chat on Monday
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it Monday at our meeting and have you guys first on the agenda
on the 9th.
Beautiful.
on the 9th.
Great.
That's what.
Okay.
asked us. And
Thank you.
I
Oh,
would-
it's so theoretically we have time to start. Well, we'll see. But
So what
I mean,
time would it start
close.
again?
Like 7:30,
6:30.
6:30.
The FinCom's at
FinCom's
6:30. We wouldn't
6:30.
start till like 7:30.
Okay.
and like have budget be sort of our only agenda item.
Okay,
Yeah.
kind
if
of
I
thing.
can get,
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is, like, where would we be? Would we be at the town hall?
It's COA room
Well,
at
I know,
Town
but we
Hall.
can't have our finance committee, we can't have our meeting in the council and aging room.
No, but we could scoot over here.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Oh, that's true.
Right.
That's right over there. Yeah.
You can
Small
switch your
town.
calendar.
You like the outdoors.
I do love the outdoors. Hey, well, that's nice.
February 9th.
On the 9th.
So the other thing, Emily, is if you could, we could,
Okay.
you could do a pull of Brendan and just call him.
okay, that would be great.
It is, it's available via Zoom.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
So they're meeting.
Pulling a Brendan, that's what we're gonna call it.
Pull your Brendan. I might call that at all 3 towns now. Oh, yeah, pull a Brendan.
Still, right?
Yeah, so if we could do that.
So let's, yeah, for now,
Wanna move it?
assuming that we
Get out
get
of here.
where we're gonna get on the FinCom agenda, we'll sort of assume that we'll do 7:30.
Okay.
We'll come
Let
over
me just
here.
add.
I can
yeah,
for sure zoom
okay.
in if I can't be there, if I can't find a.
So I'm going to
booth.
move it, Andrew, on the calendar.
All right.
If that's cool with everybody.
Yes.
And Adrian will check to make sure there's nothing else in this room on the 9th.
It's a big raffle.
I don't see anything.
It's a casino night, lots of games.
Exactly. Say that again, Adrian.
It looks good. It looks open.
Okay. So that is the 9th
So
at
take off the
7:30. Okay, that's moved.
Well, can I say something? While you're
Yep.
thinking?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
So the policy on the grounds
Yeah.
prompted me to think last year when we granted the town access to some of the land for the patio.
Yes.
I know some of those things had not, some of our stipulations have not been taken into,
I've noticed that
where are we on
myself.
that?
Yeah, I need to follow up because I've noticed that myself.
Okay.
Like any of them.
Agreed.
I was being,
Either the parking pieces, which are my biggest concern, or
Right.
the other one.
or we talked about landscaping
Signage or
around.
some sort
Let me
and
send myself
sign
an
too.
email.
No, the sign was never, the sign was non-starter.
I know.
Yeah. But we wanted like bollards or
Yeah.
boulders
Well,
to
maybe
protect it,
we
yeah.
need to reach out first. I mean, I don't know. If
I believe some outreach has already been
okay.
done, but
Okay.
not
I wouldn't.
necessarily.
Okay. Okay. I don't
Yes,
want to.
I will follow up on that.
he's not here.
I'll follow up on that.
Okay.
I had
you have
another
something?
question under other, if we're
Yeah.
on other. Is the policy subcommittee gonna take up the BMI screening that came out from Mask?
It's not a policy yet. It was in their
It was in our
resolutions.
newsletter. Yeah.
Resolutions.
It's like the special ed reserve fund is a resolution, so we don't have a policy on it yet.
But we
you
have
gonna-
created
Yeah.
policies before, if that makes sense. Like a member
Yeah.
brought up something to
Like our
think about and sort
phone
of
policy.
preempt something. So like I don't think we have one on the books right now, actually.
I don't think we do.
But maybe it's something that we can
Add
at least
to the
plan
mix.
to have everyone review that beforehand, so we can talk together at
Yeah.
the next time we meet.
You have
and-
something from, the only thing I saw was a resolution, and there was an
That's it.
amendment to the resolution from Quincy about something.
So be it resolved that Mask urges the removal of the BMI screening requirement from all public schools. Be it further resolved that Mask urges express banning of BMI screening in all public schools.
But there was an amendment by, I want to say, a town that was accepted.
The amendment to the resolution was presented by the delegate from Quincy. Be it resolved Mask, the amendment edited the following, sorry, should have started there. Be it resolved that Mask urges the removal of the BMI screening requirement from all public schools. Be it further resolved that Mask urges the express banning of BMI screening in all public schools except when a student's healthcare provider requests the screening with parental and guardian approval.
Yeah.
The healthcare provider.
I was
do
gonna
the
say,
screening
wouldn't
I know.
themselves.
provide.
But whatever.
I know.
I hate BMI.
I mean, just as
It's a
again,
fallback,
we all
but
have our
So-
Yes.
things. Yeah.
I just-
I mean, I
causes
wouldn't
problems.
personally. I probably wouldn't want to stop there. I would probably want to have a discussion about like the postural screening
Yep.
that happens and just some of the utility in our specific population that has access to health care. Makes sense. Anyway, but I would
yeah.
again that would need to be a further discussion. I think also with like our school nurses.
I'd love it
and
if
stuff
you
too.
could bring it up. That's what I was
Yeah.
trying to say.
Beautiful. So maybe I'll reach out to the school nurses.
I will make a motion to accept the bills and payroll as listed.
Second?
Oh, second. Sorry, I can't. Sorry.
All those in
I
favor,
lost
Andrew Praiser,
my-
aye.
Candace Snyder, aye.
Emily King, aye.
Alyssa Guston, aye.
Thank you.
Brendan Gagan, aye.
And have people taken a look at the minutes? I made a couple changes. They were just typos. They're suggested edits.
And if I'm remembering right, sorry, my mind is still on BMI, it's 4, 7, and 10?
Well,
Fourth grade,
the
seventh grade,
grades.
and
I
10th?
think.
4, 8, and 10?
Yeah,
Yeah, we just
I'm
opted
pretty
back
sure I
out
just
of it.
opted
Oh,
my
yeah,
kid out
I
of fourth
opted back
grade.
out of it. and asked
8,
for
I thought it
10.
was 6.
10?
Sixth too? I remembered opting Annabelle out of it
sorry.
recently.
I forget that, yeah, this is the posture.
But it's not every grade level, is what
No.
is what I'm getting at, okay.
It's not, and they,
We'll
again,
find
our
out more.
policy already is to send out, hey, we're gonna do these, but you
1,
can.
4,
You
7,
can opt
10.
out.
Right, it's
Yeah.
1, 4, 7, 10?
Thank you.
All right, I will make a motion to accept the minutes with suggested edits.
Second.
Andrew Praiser, all those in favor, Andrew Praiser, aye.
Second. Candace Snyder, aye. I'm sorry.
Emily King, aye.
Alyssa
Thank
Guston,
you.
aye.
I'm gonna
Brendan Gagan, aye.
sending an email now to follow up.
And then,
Cindy.
if there's nothing else, last but not least, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Dun, dun, dun.
All those in favor, Andrew Praiser, aye.
Candace Snyder, aye.
Emily King, aye.
Alyssa Guston, aye.
Sorry. We all had it.
Brendan Gagan, aye.
Thank you, Brendan.